We know everything, he said quietly, and right now we're choosing to call it economic cooperation instead of what it really island. I leaned back in my chair. And what do you think it really is, Ambassador? The beginning of something that could make your country very uncomfortable. He wasn't wrong. For 6 months, we'd been quietly restructuring every major international partnership. Chinese engineers were redesigning our telecommunications network. Russian agricultural experts were revolutionizing our farming techniques. Iranian pharmaceutical companies were building medical facilities that would make us self-sufficient in basic healthcare. Not because we hated the West, but because we'd learned that dependency is just slavery with better marketing. Richardson continued, that speech you're planning to give at the UN, it doesn't have to be confrontational. You can make your point while keeping your partnerships intact. I looked at him for a long moment. Ambassador, let me ask you something. When your country invaded Iraq, did you apologize to the UN first? That's different. When France intervened in Mali, did they ask African permission? The situations aren't comparable. When Israel bombs Palestinian schools, do they draft apology speeches? Richardson closed his briefcase. President Traore, you're a smart man. I hope you'll make the smart choice. After they left, I called my security chief. How many Western intelligence operatives do we currently have under surveillance in Ouagadougou? 17 confirmed. Probably double that number we haven't identified yet. And how many of our phone lines are they monitoring? All of them. But we've been feeding them false information for 3 months. I smiled. Good. Tomorrow, I want you to leak a story that I'm having second thoughts about the UN speech. What kind of second thoughts? The kind that suggest I might actually read their apology. My security chief grinned. Understood, Mr. President. Because here's what Richardson and his masters didn't understand. I wasn't just planning to reject their script. I was planning to expose why they'd written it in the first place. The next morning, Western embassies across Africa began receiving reports that President Traore was reconsidering his approach and seeking ways to rebuild diplomatic relationships. CNN ran a story titled, Burkina Faso leader may soften stance. The BBC quoted diplomatic sources saying, I was open to compromise. And in Washington, State Department officials were telling each other that their pressure campaign was working. They had no idea they were being played because, while they were celebrating their supposed victory, I was in Ouagadougou's Revolution Square speaking to 50,000 Birkin Bay who had gathered to hear what I really planned to say in New York. They think we will apologize, I told the crowd. They think Africa is still the continent that begs for permission to speak. The roar that went up could be heard for miles. But I want you to know something. When I stand before the United Nations, I won't be representing just Burkina Faso. I'll be representing every African who was told to be grateful for crumbs. Old women were crying. Young men were chanting. Children who didn't fully understand the politics could still feel the electricity in the air. They can freeze our aid. They can impose their sanctions. They can write all the apology speeches they want. But they cannot make us kneel. That evening, I received a call from President Kagame of Rwanda. Brother,